Live.
Hello, good people. Welcome to the conversation. My name is Epic, and I got my co-host here. We're short tonight, but I don't like to say anything as being short. Being 6'8", I don't like to allocate anything to being short. But we have a few members that may be out today, but they'll be joining us. They probably be watching us online right now live. Well, we're coming to you from the HighVibe Media and Marketing Group, and we have a thrill of a conversation to talk with you guys tonight about. But at first, I wanted to kind of introduce my co-host. So over to my left here, we have Lady Mays. What's up, Lady Mays? I mean, Cut Mays. Cut Mays. So, Cut Mays, how was your weekend? Talk to us about your weekend.
It was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I would tell you all, it was my first time, my first business event.
Okay.
And we did Ready, Set, Goals.
Ready, set, goals.
Goal setting with Dreamboard. And it was wonderful. I had people showing up. We went over a lot of things from mental to spiritual to psychological detoxing to talking about
Detoxing.
yeah, we gotta get rid of all this stuff.
Yeah, yes.
You know, dealing with all the debris we experienced in our lives. So that was something we talked about. We did that I am. Just saying some positive things we need to do. Some
put it in the atmosphere. Put it in the atmosphere.
Some quotes and stuff. We did grit. We did cognitive dissonance. We went through some stuff. I really wrote that stuff. And I put it together. And then after that, we came back and we did our dream board, the direct reality of envisioning, taking action, and keeping the momentum. And we had a great time. I had made sure they had a nice taco bar, hard taco, soft taco salad, and pineapple lemonade. So we had a wonderful time.
Wait a minute.
You done missed out on all that. We had a good time.
What?
I loved it. Yes. It was, and I did, normally I'm a prepared speaker, but I just went with the flow.
Right.
I prayed about it. And I just went what was natural and genuine. Spirit said, just go naturally. Do it naturally.
Well, it seemed like y'all had like food, fun, fellowship, and takeaways. You know,
oh, absolutely.
Like they had strong takeaways. Whenever you can write something out, and you can remove some of those negative things and replace them with something positive and clear.
Right,
man.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did, y'all.
I got the opportunity to watch you actually up
there
doing your thing. You had it going on. Yeah, I mean, I saw some of the interacting that you had with the people that were there, and looked like you guys did some pretty good stuff. So, blessings to you, sister.
Thank you.
So now, Lady G, talk to me, Lady G. What happened for your weekend?
You know, I really can't even say I just had a chillax weekend. I just kind of worked my business over the weekend and just I needed some downtime. Because I found myself, you're always busy, just doing a whole lot of stuff.
Right.
So I just needed to, just dial back a minute and just relax my nerves, relax my mind, and
relaxing.
Spend some time with the Lord. Yeah, so I really needed that.
That's always good.
I needed to unplug for just a minute.
To unplug so you can plug in.
Yes,
that's right.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Yes.
Man.
Yes.
So tonight, with our topic, we're going to dive right on in. We have verbiage as the topic. And with verbiage, we also want to break down various generations. We understand that generations come with their own identity. They come with their own cultural code. And so we want to see, some things that will flow well across generations. Others, there may be gaps. So one of the things we want to explore tonight is, as we always try to reach towards some solutions and to be able to advance our community. This is all for y'all, our listening audience. We would love for you guys to chime in. We're going to go ahead and tell you now to start calling in to us. We're going to ask you to call in. Make sure you're calling in to the media group. And our number is 972-882-6146. Again, that's 972-882-6146. So let's get right started here. Verbiage. I mean, so Cut Maze, talk to me a real bit about, give us a background on verbiage. What do you mean by verbiage?
Verbiage has to do with the different vernacular or dialect, which is basically language that we use. And it may be in a cultural setting or a population of people. It can be slang, jargon. It's basically the same thing, but just different things that we talk about. I give you an example. Bae. Have y'all seen that? Bae? Hey, bae, where are you?
Right.
I need you, bae. B-A-E. It means baby or significant other.
Right.
And that's something that you may see people say on Facebook.
Yeah,
and it's
good to recognize those boundaries as well, huh? So you don't call someone else's bae.
Yeah, bae. So that's just one of the few things, and I actually went online to look at some language, some different dialect that the millennials are using. But before we even go to the millennials, it's some other vernacular that our seasonal generation use.
Right.
Just different things. Generation X.
Generation X.
Baby boomers.
I
think that's my generation.
It is your generation. X, and it's really interesting. I found out I was a millennial.
And no, she ain't too thrilled about it.
Not with the old soul. You know, Cut Maze got an old soul.
I have an old soul. So I'm right there.
You really do.
And it starts at 80 or 81. No, I was born in 81. Not to tell my age, but I'm right there.
Right.
So I can relate with the generations before me and after me.
Okay.
Which is a good thing to be kind of in between. And I'm more of a seasonal, more of an older millennial because I'm born at the very beginning of the 80.
And that's the population I just love. You know, when you start talking about before and after, you know, young folks and children, and then the elderly. I mean, I just got a heart for them. I got a heart for, you know, because you just keep it real and the innocence thereof.
Yeah.
So, but to be able to understand a lot of people, you know, understanding is everything. So why? Because once someone is, I believe, a group or as an individual or a whole group, to be misunderstood,
oh my gosh, yeah,
that's just one of the difficult things that's in our communities, in the political scene. It's everywhere to just be misunderstood. So I'm glad that you're bringing this topic up. You know, I noticed that you said language and how you correlated. Language is deeply rooted with our culture, and sometimes within the African American community, I want to go at it verbiage a little differently. Some elderly would say, "Well, man." Or even our young folks, when corrected to speak in a more professional dialect, they may be challenged or even scrutinized by saying you're talking white.
Oh,
you're talking
a
color.
Yeah, I heard that too.
You know, and being able to have that toggle switch, I think is very important, y'all, to be able to go between your ethnic tongue and your professional tongue.
Yes.
You know, and you guys represent that up in here because, you know, don't get it twisted. Your roots goes deep.
Very deep.
But you got a switch that could go. So how important is that? That's why I wanted to ask you guys. How is it important for us to even have, you know, that toggle switch and to basically show the value that, hey, we're not losing our roots of who we are and our ethnic background, but at the same time, you know, we want to incorporate a professional dialect as well in lingo. How important is it to be able to do both?
I guess for myself, because I do work in the corporate, being professional at work is one thing. But when I get home, I know I can unwind and be, you know, be myself, my down to earth self, and you know I'm loud anyway. Sometimes I feel like I can move these mics back a little bit because I am loud. But you know, but of course at work I'm not gonna be like that. I'm gonna be like, yes, this is Gloria, how may I help you? You know,
Right.
But when I'm at home and in this setting, I can be loud and be myself. But in the corporate world, you do have to dial that thing back and be professional. But we know how.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
We
right.
know how. We know our settings. We know our place where we need to bring that thing in.
Right.
But we also know how to be professional.
Yeah, that's good. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Okay.
And I see that some of them say, well, you may not necessarily, people want you to be real. Be real. Well, if you incorporate professionalism in there, that's a part of who you are.
Exactly.
On the other side of you, you're going to have to be able professional. But the biggest thing is being real. Do you know your roots? Do you know your background, our people, how we have struggled, how far we have gone?
Yes.
Now I know we're in January and stuff, and we still hadn't lost sight of the dream.
No, not at
But
all.
I'm saying that we really, really should look at a holistic thing of what does it mean to be real? Well, being real means be the advancing you and being the rooted you.
Exactly.
you
Yes.
know. So, but what else? Verbiage. What else were you looking at? We talked about the language. But there are some areas cross-generational that people use, or even our ebonics. That's a little bit different.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
the ebonics. Remember
yes,
for that short period of time?
Yes, it was so strong.
It was like a fad, so it was really strong at one point, and then it came, and then it was shut down real quick. Remember that?
Right, I do.
I do remember that. I might have
Right.
been at school when it happened. I'm not sure.
Because
I
even
know
now,
that.
I have a son. He's 26, and sometimes he'll say stuff, and I'll be like, "What is he talking about? What you mean? Like what was it? He had said, he was telling me, Mom, I need to get a whip.
A whip.
Look at me. What? What are you referring to? What are you talking about? Knowing he was saying he needed to get a car.
Right.
Yeah, but it took me a minute because I really didn't know. So, it's us being disconnected
Right.
Connection.
with our youth, and this was years ago that he had said this, but I know what it is now. But then I really, really had no idea. And Sharika, if you are out there, I know you probably watching. You need to call in because I don't know none of this stuff. It's so much I don't know.
Right. And even the platforms in which you communicate. I mean, being on Snapchat, Instagram, having a Twitter account. So all these things is very important because this is the platform in which our youth communicate. And they'll tell you, hey, but now our youth are also losing some things too. They're losing mannerisms. They're losing even how they gesture because they're here. Oh, I got you. But they're losing the focus on life and gestures and mannerism and facial expressions, all of those types of things. So that's important to know.
It's kind of sad.
Important to know.
Yeah, because I know even getting text messages, you have to decipher that thing. Like, what was they trying to say? And then I'm like, I'm gonna need to call you because what were you saying exactly? What does that mean?
Right.
Just giving me short initials. Letters, and I don't know. I just don't know.
Yeah.
So you Googling.
and see, and my thing is, it's not just the platform, but the platform that is taken away from. It's not the platform that they have existing, but what is it taken away from? Whatever happened to the around the table talk, y'all, at dinner time?
Yeah, I miss that.
So
many of us don't do it anymore.
Oh, we know.
Rarely do we sit down and
just let these kids come in and hijack our stuff. Like, this is what we not gonna do.
Yeah, we falling short, parents. We falling short because we don't have that sit down dinner where you sit around the table and you talk about your day and what you have going on.
So what was the benefits of that though? I mean, let's think back. Sometimes what was the benefits of?
I just think us just being together as a family, that family unity that we had, and we're missing that now because everybody's busy and doing stuff, always involved in different things. But this right here. They sit at the table now, and this is where they're focused.
Right.
They're on their phone. You're like, if you don't put that phone down. And that's a challenge because even when we are sitting together having dinner, everybody has their phone in their hand.
Right. Wow.
And we
have
caller.
a caller. All right.
Okay, caller.
Is that Dr. Simone?
Good evening, everybody. How are you guys doing?
Hey.
Welcome,
I'm
lady.
missing my conversation family tonight.
We miss you.
We miss you too.
I had some other things I had to take care of. So you guys are talking about verbiage, decoding verbiage tonight. I heard a lot of interesting things, and I think I heard Epic talk about something similar to the vernacular code switching. Am I correct on that, Epic?
Yes, yes.
And where you talk about how important it is to be able to do that, I kind of lost you guys.
Right. We were talking about how it's important to have that toggle switch and go between, you know, your professional and your layman tongue. You know, being able to not lose who you are in your culture group, but to embrace some level of professionalism so you can speak across audiences.
Exactly. You know, I was an educator. I'm still an educator, but especially when I was in the classroom years ago, I had to make sure that people understood, and even when I became an upper administrator, that there is nothing wrong with a child's culture if that's the background that they came from, but they must know standard English. There's no right or wrong. I never said this is correct, this is incorrect. It is what it is. It is standard. Everyone should know what the standard English is so that everyone from all cultures can have a greater understanding when people are trying to communicate. But you never want to take away what's cultural for people as well, because some people feel that standard English is the only English that's correct. But that's not true, because if you can communicate effectively with someone in your mode of communication, it's effective communication. That makes sense. So I was just thinking about that tonight. And I think it's great that you can step across lines. And I heard Lady G talk about she can be herself at home, but yet when she goes in the workplace, it's a different way to be. And I think that that's what's missing when we educate some of our children now. They don't have the skills to step across lines and step back into their own culture, and it really can cripple them from attaining everything that they need to attain. So there has to be an understanding that you have to be able to speak standard English to communicate with all people. What do you guys think about that?
I agree. I totally agree with you.
I totally agree. Because I wanted to note that, you know, it does not have a color. You know, a lot of our people associated with, you know, speaking professional. Well, it does have a color. The color is green. You know, because if you're gonna be, you gotta have money. You're gonna be, people gonna trust you with their money. They're gonna want to know that you're a professional,
exactly.
Regardless of you gotta be able to do that.
And I can say this too. One of the first ways that people judge you about whether or not you're intelligent in their belief is by how you sound and how you speak. But it doesn't necessarily equate to your level of intelligence, because intelligence is what you know. And you can know one thing about a certain culture and not another and be intelligent in that area, but it doesn't mean that you're not intelligent. Just because someone else may perceive you to be intelligent one way or another. So the verbiage, decoding verbiage, vernacular, the way we speak, standard English has a lot to do with how we can communicate with others and how well we're able to survive in our society that we live in. I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely, that's good. That's good.
And then there's the flip side. I need to bring this to the audience. And, you know, there's the flip side where you have your Uncle Toms, and you have your people who have rejected their cultural roots.
Oh, wow.
You know, and, you know, they believe that, like Dr. Simone said, you want to be able to speak across planes, not just to one particular artist. They even reject the hip-hop movement. They reject, you know, there's different reasons why people may reject it, but what I'm saying is artists and the way we eat and the way we, you know, every culture group has its good and bad things that need to scale off on, but to be embarrassed by it, you know, we have some of that, you know, within our community, unfortunately.
I still go back to the African proverb of Sankofa. In order to know where you're going, you must first know from whence you come. And if you can't embrace your past, it's hard going where you want to go. And to really believe in your sexualization that you know who you are regardless of where you come from. So that's just my take on it. That's it for tonight for me, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in.
Thanks for calling.
And enjoy the rest of your night.
You guys.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Have a great one.
All right.
You
too.
All right. That was awesome.
Whew. Look like the kids say, she be spitting knowledge.
Decode that.
Decode that,
Yes,
please.
that Dr. Simone be on it,
She
boy.
be on it. She be on it.
Oh my
Man.
goodness.
But she's absolutely right about understanding, having that standard
Right.
English, but also accepting their verbiage or their vernacular from where they come from culturally. Because that's important. You don't want to shunt them of it.
Right.
No.
Because I know as a child, I was born in Jackson, Mississippi, and we left Mississippi when I was 4 and moved to Kansas. And so when I would come back and visit my family for, during the summers, for summer break, my cousins used to always laugh at me.
Right.
And, because they told me that I talk proper.
Right.
So I don't remember, the way that I talked, I don't remember it changing, but somewhere along the line it did.
Yeah.
And so, it used to hurt my feelings, but then, and I just thought, well, it is what it is,
Right.
So, I mean, it was no big deal, but, I just remember having that conversation and being laughed at as a child,
Right.
I feel the same way too, especially back home in Arkansas. Everyone dialect, depending on where you're from, the South, the North, the East Coast, West Coast, the dialect may be different. And I know we talked about this last night. Just one word itself.
Right.
Here I hear pecans. Back home we say pecans.
Right.
And it's really weird because I come here and we always say pecans back home. It's like, no, you didn't say it right. Like when I got here, no, you didn't say it right. It is pecans. I'm okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you have that within groups too, so this within.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, well we have a different dialect from
Right. What's
Texas.
Here? Yeah.
So I think it's in a way I understand it. Once you move here, you start picking it up too. But at the same time, I don't think you should shunt how people say words because Caribbean.
Right.
Right.
Means the same thing.
Same thing. You just say it differently because of the dialect, depending on where you're from.
Right.
And that's really, really important. I just thought that was really interesting. I heard someone say, we were talking about the solar system and planets and stuff, and we say Uranus back home. No, it's called Uranus. I'm like, okay.
Oh, wow.
So I'm just like, okay, listen. It was really interesting when I got here and people wanted to correct my dialect.
Right.
And I said, you know what? Let me go to Toastmasters. Take care of this. Who was that? Marvin. Obi. Obi, is that you?
Man.
That's me. What's up? I'm just making it home. I'm listening to the show, and I hear y'all talking basically about the different, what y'all say, verbiage, or whatever how do you pronounce it?
Yes.
How y'all doing? First of all,
we're doing good.
Lady G, Mr. Epic, and Cousin Maze, y'all good?
We are good.
Yes, sir.
We holding it down.
Say it again. I can't hear you.
Say we was holding it down. We miss you, man. We miss you.
That's what I see. I see the three amigos. That's what I'm talking about. But anyway, basically, y'all was talking about the different deals about how people talk and that type of deal. The different languages and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's definitely right. I like what you're saying about it all depends on where you're from and like your neighborhood or your city, your state. Because definitely people from New Orleans, man, I love the way they talk. They got that baby and all that good stuff and bruh and that and that. So I love that. That's a culture within itself. Then when you get up to New York, they talk totally different. New York and Chicago, they talk fast. So, but me personally, I'm just a good old country boy. I heard you say cutting ways about pecans and pecans.
Yes.
Yeah, so I can definitely relate to words, stuff that people from the other culture won't even know how to relate to it. Like, for instance, Mr. Epic, he don't know nothing about look at him.
Look at him.
Look at here now.
Oh, that.
What about this one? I'm telling you now. You know, those are things, man. You got to be from that hood, or that city to be able to do so. Whosoever, y'all remember that Lady G? You from Jackson?
Jackson.
I've heard it.
Jackson.
Because I've heard my grandpa say it plenty of times.
Whosoever put these cans out in the yard, go get these cans out.
Oh my goodness, Grandpa. Rest your soul.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What about Lady Cousin Lady Guan then?
Go ahead then. Okay,
Go ahead
then.
Guan ahead then. Guan then.
Yeah. I remember that.
We can be all night, man. That stuff. Y'all took me back on that one, man. I can relate.
Mm-hmm.
But I just wanted to call in, let you know, and we'll talk about everything else later. I just wanted to add in to the show, and I'm listening.
All right.
I'll probably call back.
Okay. All right, call back then.
All right, then.
All right, OB.
Bye.
All right. Y'all doing a good job. Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yes. I love
It was good to have them call
season.
in. Yeah.
Yes, the seasonal verbiage that's been used generations down to generations, and me standing right there at that line again. I can relate to
Take a
both
peek over.
generations, and it's really interesting because, like on my dad's side, we have 4 to 5 generations living and going.
Mm-hmm.
So I had an opportunity to be with my great grandparents and their brothers and sisters and nieces and nephews. I mean, it goes from my generation all the way up.
Right.
And just hearing the different dialect that they use, because they're actually from Wapasika, so that's really country. Like, it was the true country where they had the farm, they had the chicken coop, and they had the pig down there, and you can hear, what's that? Ratchet around here. Get in here, girl. And my granny had a deep look. Get in here, girl. Which means get in here.
Yeah, but that retch around.
Retch around.
Yeah,
needs to grab around, but
you
yeah.
know, it's amazing when you talk about our languages and our culture and our roots.
Yes.
It's just, you know, a lot of this that we're talking about was just a lack of education that our people had, but look how much they knew. They must have knew something how to keep these families together.
Absolutely.
Because they did.
They knew something how to pass down how traits of being a man to another man.
Yes.
You know, the man, I didn't have the most you know, all these degrees and these letters behind my name, but guess what? I'm passing down to you what what like Dr. Simone said. It's based on what you know, and then the thing is how you could communicate what you know to another generation. What are you leaving behind? So now look at us in all of our education, all that we know, and there's this huge gap, particularly with our boys. They don't know what it is to be a man.
Oh my God!
And they're not even asking the questions. And then if they were asking the questions, who's on the other end to help and answer the call? So you know, we talk poorly about some of our ancestors who didn't have much education, but look how much they knew. And look how much they
taught us.
Right.
You know.
They passed on. They were smart enough to know before I go 6 feet under, let me pass on to you.
Grandma and them. Grandma and them.
And that came from that table.
It did.
That table, man, I'm going to show you what I know, and you're going to have to prove to me you know what you know, that you know. By way of activity. It wasn't a lot of talk. See, right now we got text messages coming off all kinds of. It's a rapidly moving environment. But how deep is it? Do we really know? Do we really have some knowledge? Do we really have some skills and abilities? You know, so that's what's going to end up being able to, as we move as a culture group. Are we moving with knowledge? Are we moving with skills? Are we moving with our abilities? Or, you know, being able to, you know, look at the industries, cosmetology.
Oh yeah.
You know, cutting hair. Do guys know how to cut hair and everything? Look at Or ladies, do ladies know how to braid and stuff? Or fellas, do you know how to cook? Ladies, do you know how to cook? Some of these things, man, it's just being lost.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're losing them to this.
Right. But they're named to be smart. But I think that's biblical. Oh, that's biblical. Becoming greater fools as they possess themselves as being wise. Yeah, it's biblical.
Yeah.
You think about a lot of people they don't even want to call and communicate and talk anymore. Everybody texts, and it's so much miscommunication lost in a text. Attitudes. It was your tone, but that's not how I meant that.
Right.
I didn't. Instead of talking it out, they want to text back and forth. And then those long texts, you be like, this long, you like, do you really think I'm going to sit here and read that? No, ma'am. Instead of calling, we're just missing out on so much, communing with one another.
It was funny. I was at church and pastor issued out he's basically saying on the fast, it's just giving up something that you sacrifice.
Right.
And so I was shocked to hear that he was talking about social media and your phones and everything. Now, it would be a stretch for me to give it, but I first thought immediately food for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when I start thinking that someone is sitting over there like, oh, food is nothing, the sacrifice for me is this phone.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow. But to each his own.
Right.
To each his own.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I know I had an aunt, she had came off of social media. She said she just had to get away from it. I mean, so what you need, especially during that important time, that you are fasting and seeking God, you know exactly what you need to pull away from, to get closer to Him. So.
Oh, that's important. Very, very important. And so another thing that we discussed the other day was when we start saying professionalism is green and that language is green, how do we speak the nature of money and economic empowerment across generations? Even our forefathers, they knew, hey, man, we better get land with their uneducated self.
Yeah.
Hey, they fought for land, fought for rights, fought for, the right to be able to vote and the right to be able to be treated well with fair wages and all this stuff. So they fought a fight for us. But, what do we do with these liberties that we have got now? What do we do with the money that comes out of it? Are we becoming, less because we don't have financial literacy? Or what is it? Because they knew to go out with their limited education to go and invest some kind of way.
Yeah.
Because even coming up, and that's one thing, looking back now, now that I've gotten older, we just didn't think about the things that our ancestors were trying to, like, leaving an inheritance for our kids.
Right. Exactly.
Now we're just seeing how important that is. But even as as I'm seeing things now going on in the world, and the young kids, they don't know. They just living day to day, paycheck to paycheck, trying like the struggle is real. It's hard, and they're not realizing to invest in their future. They're not even thinking that right now. They're living for today.
Right,
they're not looking for their future. I mean, but I guess now, because I have met millennials that I work with, and I can see now it's coming.
They own it now.
They really, really are.
Well, they own it now also because I think conditionally they have to be.
I have no choice.
Because the what existed back in the day with these corporations, you work one place for X amount of years, you get a pension, and that no longer exists.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they have to be. But then you got different things. You got Bitcoins. You got all these various types of currencies that are out there that people, data mining, data science, people are really dipping into that and saying, okay, how do I get involved? And I see kids doing their own independent research. And so that's cool. I know my son is doing that. So and where it's, to me, I'm really blind to it and green to it. So here's my step up. I'm going to have to start learning more and more about what's out here because you always want to be a part of continuous learning.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
So, what do you think? What do you think, Good Maze?
I was reading some information earlier today, and it talked about a little bit of my generation. And when the economy kind of plundered around 2008, and the millennials themselves were looking at better ways to save money, whether it's staying at home or returning that money, being in debt. It was actually, let me look at it. They were looking for low risk investments or to avoid them, staying with their parents. The recession hit really big at that time. So right now we're trying to find strategies that are low risk and trying to save money. Now, some of the things they were saying was for them to have sustainable investments.
Right.
That was important. Another thing was ownership. Maybe buying a house.
Wow, how much we need ownership.
So they talked about a little bit about that we're looking to actually own it, not just leasing it or renting it, but actually owning it.
Because how many people go and just lease and rent forever?
No, 30 years. 30 years. I have a family member that rented for 30 years.
Man.
Yeah.
That's money. I just feel like it's money wasted. I just really do. Because when you think about 30 years of leasing, how much money is that in 30 years?
Right.
I'm sure it's a lot of money that you could invest. You might have, I don't know, maybe they already bought their house. I don't know, but it's so much other things that could have been used for that money. Yeah. Or just towards retirement or your kids' fund or something. And we really need to think about those things. Where we're spending our money. It's not to say you can't treat yourself and have great things, but at the same time, you're doing a disservice to your kids and your family if you don't have anything when you die. Then you got people on Facebook and social media talking about some GoFundMe.
Yeah. Right. That's it.
Seriously.
That's
ridiculous. It is
true.
You shouldn't. Your kids
shouldn't
be
that's
trying to scrap up money.
That's the common
your
thread.
Your family should have to scrap up money for you.
Right.
I'm just saying.
And so with that, I guess what we should be discussing then is, well, how do we leave with the same language? So with the language comes the narrative. So how do we speak on leaving a legacy? How do we make that language hot? How do we make that trendy? How do we make financial literacy something that is narrative between all generations? Because what you're doing in your 50s, how you should be approaching things is different than what you would be doing in your 40s, than what you would be doing in your 30s, 20s, and so on and so forth. So I think that each one should have their own language, how they want to approach money.
Oh, yes.
And what they do with money. So, but, when we start asking with the language, usually language is taught. Yeah, financial literacy is taught. So who's doing it within? Are we learning? Are we in this perpetuated cycle because we're learning in error because we're being taught in error? So how do we, let's talk about that then. How is it something in the community that we need? I'm quite sure there's lots of resources out there. What do you think we need to make sure that every generation is keen and have an appetite for financial literacy?
Wow. For those that have the financial literacy to teach others about it, should definitely share the information. Not keep it to yourself, but share it among people. Do a free event. I'm just saying, you're trying to help other people with that information. I know
that's just
Dr.
like
Claude Anderson is really big on powernomics. If you don't know who he is, he's really big about wealth. How to build wealth, how to build a community, and all the things you need to do. And Dr. Boyce Watkins is someone else that has finance background. I think it's like a PhD or something. Yeah. He's always on Facebook. If y'all haven't seen him, he's always on there.
My head goes
and he has a school. He has like this school that you can learn all kinds of stuff.
Right.
And I sit there from time to time, listen to him. I'm like, oh, okay. Investments, just everything. And I have a friend myself, and he does wealth building.
That's good.
How to gain it and how to keep it. And I said, hey, when are you going to do this? When are you going to do this?
That's good.
Are you doing the class? Because I want to do it. And he has, like, he's writing his 9th book.
That's good.
That's awesome. I actually have him on the show later, maybe next month. Okay. But we'll work that out. But it's just really a good thing to learn.
Right.
A few of us got it, but then it's not enough of us
that
need that information.
Right.
It's not enough of us out here.
You know, it's good that you're saying that, and I applaud everyone in every organization that's be willing to get out there and share, because that's what's been wrong with us as a people. As a people, we're good at accumulating and acquiring information. You know, I always say, man, we get all we can, but then we can all we get. We just sit on that knowledge and sit it up on the shelf, and we don't pass it on to someone else. Man, we're supposed to acquire, act upon it, and then distribute it out to other people.
That knowledge you have. That's
you know, but we feel like, man, we share it with someone else, it's going to make us know. You're going to make us, because guess what? If your neighbors continue to lose and you're in the African American community, you lose. Yeah. How can you have the only green lawn and all the other lawns are yellow in your yard? You got yard of the month in my, but your community, the value is dropping in your whole community.
Yeah.
So who cares if you have yard of the month? So we got to start thinking holistically. We got to start thinking about one another and share outwardly.
Help. We're supposed to be helping one another. You can't look at what somebody have and get, I hate to say this word, envy and jealous, because sometimes I don't want to go negative, y'all, but it's the truth with,
That's
people.
that poverty mentality.
That poverty mentality.
Right.
I'm just saying, because if I'm doing something, I want everybody to know. Just like my event on Saturday.
Right.
Y'all know I promoted it for 7 to 8 weeks. I was hearing on Facebook. I was texting. I was calling. I was emailing. The women that I met at a women's business conference, I got their cards. I emailed them. I wanted to share what I had to help somebody. And for those that needed to be there, they were there.
Right. And and just like I think about myself, I'm 51 years old, and never ever growing up did I ever think I would have my own business. And I do. And I didn't see it coming, and I just, just so blessed to be in the position now where I was able to start my own home-based business. And, I have my own hours. I work my own hours, even though I work at corporate, but, I have my own business. And so if you know that you have a passion for something, why not adventure that,
Absolutely.
and see where it leads you.
Right. No, I get you on that.
I agree.
Entrepreneurship.
Yes.
Taking that risk.
Taking that risk.
And you got to take the risk, whatever age group. I like people I often say, and they use conventional wisdom on this. Well, you want to take risk when you're young, because when you get older, you don't have that degree, that time to make up for that. And I understand that. But some of the risk goes on to the passion of which God gave you.
Exactly.
Being able to birth something out.
And that's it.
Because to abort that thing, that passion, that purpose, that goal, that dream.
Yes, that's it. That God, passion. Yes. When you have that passion. And like you said, and sharing it with others. And that's what I always try to do, is share it with others, so that they can have that same, if they have that desire. It can be passed on to the next person, and so on and so on and so on.
Being able to adjust to it, because like I said, even the adjustment that you got to make during the generations. I'm in there, the optometrist, I'm just trying on different lenses.
Right. Yeah.
Y'all heard my recent story, so I'm like, okay, but they're showing me cool, trendy things in my season.
Yeah.
So just maximize the trends and everything that's in your season. Do that thing.
I feel like it's really, really key when you go and reach out to different generations, that you actively listen to what they are saying, feeling, their understanding, even facial expression, and just sit there and just key into what they're saying, so you can get a better understanding. Not conjure up stuff already in your mind to ask questions, but just listen. and you can better help one another. Even if you don't quite speak that lingo or that language, eventually you will.
Right.
And how to reach them. Just like the children I work with. Miss Mays. And they come to Miss Mays. What you know about that Skywalker? And this new song by Miguel. And they come with everything. So they keep me hip to everything that's going on. And I'm with 2nd through 5th graders. Okay. So they kind of keep me in a known of songs, what's going on, the latest dance. And I'm like, what do you know about that? Or, just different things. And they keep me in the known. And I can relate to them. They come to me and they just tell me stuff.
That's awesome.
Because I can sit and relate to them. I'm like, what you know about that? What are you doing? What you singing? I hear you. Then if I know it, I kind of sing it with them. And it's like, oh, Miss Mays. Yeah, I really think she know.
Right.
So I'm pretty much in tune with them.
Right.
And then
and that's intentional, though.
That's intentional. Because I care. I want to connect with them. I just want to know what's going on. I really do. And then I sit with my seasoned people. I got to get some wisdom and some knowledge. Exactly. I got to hear. I got to listen. I got to let it marinate in. I need to be taught. I need to be taught. And I just sit there and I just pick up all kinds of just amazing things. Things.
What I'm hearing here, this is
love
awesome, amazing.
Because I can go back and forth. Right. And it doesn't matter because, again, like I told y'all, I sat with my great-grandparents and their brothers and sisters at hometown. I had 3 sets of family. Right. And they go far, 2 of them go as far as grandparents, and my dad go as far as the great-grandparents level. Like OB, he's related to me on my great-grandmother's side. Okay. So he's like, what, 3rd cousin, something like that? Right. 3rd, you know how you get 3rd and 4th? So he's up there with them. But I think it's just so important that you connect with people. Right. People want to be heard. People want to be understood. Mm-hmm. And that's really important. That's how you make that connection. They want to feel cared about and loved, too.
That's right. That's right.
That's really important.
It's what I got from where you were communicating with us is you sat in the middle and you intentionally moved your ear over. I remember when my pops used to tell me, a curious heart lends an extended ear. Yeah. People will listen when their heart is curious about something. So you have said, okay, I'm curious about the next generation, and that's wisdom, seeking the next generation, whether it's the generation before you or after you, to be curious, to make sure that, hey, I'm going to make that connection, and you listen to them. Right. So our ears are not going across these culture groups. It's not. We don't, and that's what's wrong with our, even in the political system with racial tension and all this, people are ready to move their mouth across the plains and not their ears. You got to go into a group listening and being curious about what is it like being you. Right. We need to do that within our own community. We just talked about finances, but we can't just tell these folks. We can't have another classism divide where you have those who have and those who have not. Yeah. But each group need to be able to hear from one another curiously, and like Cut May say, because I care about you, and I'm going to be intentional about establishing this relationship. Right. Man, that was awesome. That was awesome.
That's really important. I'm passionate. I love people, and that's part of the reason why I had the goal-setting event, because if you don't know how to strategically, effectively set your goals or what you're trying to do, whether it's your gift, your passion, your purpose, all those things, if you don't know, let me help you. I'll help you with that so you can get on the road. But again, for that event, you have to maybe sit some time out and do some mental, spiritual, and psychological detoxing, because again, your experiences in life will keep you bound to where it is, and you can't move forward to what you need to do. So that's really important, and I've taught that class in Toastmasters, and that's something that's really important. And the simplest little thing that you can tell somebody, oh, you need to exercise and eat and lose weight, but they may not necessarily know how in those detailed steps of how to do that. And you have Lady G here and I come in, and we can do that food plan for you, that meal plan for you, that exercise.
Because actually, if you give them half information, they may end up being counterproductive and hurting themselves off of some stuff that hearsay versus sitting down with y'all and y'all walking them through the thing.
And that's when you sit down and actively listen to people. Because sometimes you can hear them crying in what they're saying.
Right.
And if you're not paying attention, don't care, you're going to miss it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because people can cry out, they can hurt, you can hear in their voice, you can hear in their stories. And that is something that's really important. Like for Toastmasters, we do a lot of storytelling. And it's really, really important you be effective when you give your story for business or whatever it is. But when I sit on the phone and talk with those people, this is what I'm dealing with. I'm on these medications. I'm always having pain. I'm listening.
Yes.
And then I'm going to help you where I can. And if I don't have the answers, guess what? My upline knows the answers to it.
Right.
And that's, people want to know you care.
Right.
They want to felt like they've been helped. They've been cared for. Right. And when you do the opposite, you ain't got to worry about them. They're not going to come back.
Yeah.
And that's just
and
like
a lot of times, too, and I think it's that fear factor that we have placed in our lives, and we stop ourselves from seeking help.
Right.
Yeah,
and when you have people out there that are willing to help, because even like with me, I do health assessments just about every day, and then when we get down to it, and seeing all the elements that they have, and then I'm like, well, are you ready to do something about it? Because I can help.
Right.
And they'll be like, well, let me think about it. Well, if the doctor done told you already, if you don't, get your health under control, you're on your way. You're pre-diabetic.
Yeah.
So they've already told you, and you know that I can help, but then you just, let me think about it, and then I just never hear back, and I have to do a follow-up, and I'm just calling to check in, so just being active and just letting them know that you're there, that you're there. That fear does set in.
I like that you said that. I tell everybody that needs help with something from me is when you're ready.
When you're ready,
I'm here.
Exactly.
Because people have to be ready when they are ready to do what they need to do to change, make that transformation.
Yes, yes.
And you can't force them. The only thing you can do is just be there for them, give them the information, let them decide. And I've been in the health and wellness industry for 6 years, and guess what? I had people 2 years, 3 years, 4 years later join me. But they were ready.
Yeah, and I gotta tag in on that too, because myself, when I first heard from my health coach, it's the same thing. 3 years ago, she called and told me about the plan, and I was just like, nah, I can do it myself. I can do it myself, and I tried to do my thing, because I was always active, but I had surgery and it just wasn't happening the way it used to. And I was like, no, this ain't working. But I knew I had somebody that could help me. And that's when I, let her know, okay, it's time. I was ready. I was ready.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. So it's about getting yourself ready.
It is. It really is.
And I appreciate how you guys kind of carry the vision for folks too. With the body, even with the body of Christ, everyone has their own strengths and their gifts and talents.
Right.
But carrying that vision, it says the people. The lack of vision is why the people are perishing. But the people are perishing because they themselves don't have a vision or a lack of knowledge. So someone's got to be able to water, others plant.
Yeah, that's it.
But God's going to provide the increase.
That's it.
So we got to be able to constantly put it out there in different ways, whether it comes from older folks, whether it comes from younger folks, or it comes from a different ethnic group. The truth is going to be the truth, y'all, regardless.
It is. It really is.
Like my personal story, y'all heard about, me. I was sidelined for 4 days. My hips started getting inflamed. Well, I'm sitting in there. They did an X-ray on my hip, and they said, "Well, man, you got some pre-arthritis things developing here." And so I'm looking at this very upset. Then this seasoned doctor comes in. He's 62 years old.
Wow.
And he looks at it. He said, "You know what? You're gonna be okay now. I developed this 6 months ago."
Okay.
But it's a big age gap between my age and his age. So my question is, well, how do I live between now and where you are? You just got it 6 months ago. I just got it 4 days ago, but we're at different stages in our life. help me try this path right here with this gap. And so me sitting down with that doctor, just going back and forth, he said, hey, you can anticipate this at this stage. You can he's been there. We need those dialogues all across with everyone. We need those dialogues in our relationships. Man, you've been married X amount of years. You've had a successful relationship. I'm just getting into this. Hey, can we walk this thing out? You know, can you kind of tell me some things I may need to look forward to?
Absolutely.
Honestly.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Can I read a comment? It's by Bianca. She said, has anyone on the panel heard of 444 book? Have you heard of that?
No.
It's like a time 444 book. It's a book.
No.
No?
I haven't heard of it.
No, JVCV 444.
I know, right? I know that, but not the
Did she
book.
put what is it reference to, or?
No, let me... No, I'm gonna see, can she call in? Bianca, can you call us about the 444 book?
We'd like to know more about
We actually would like
especially
to
if you
know,
read it.
especially if you read it. We want to know.
Let us hear some of your thoughts about it, because I've never even heard of it.
That's interesting. I haven't heard that one.
No.
Okay. Now, is there other things that need to stay within our? You know, we start talking about the verbiage. We discuss language, but is there certain things that should stay within the, I guess, the generation? Should certain things, let's say fashion, should fashion stay within a generation? Do you see some of people in their 70s dressing like they 20 or
still saggy? Oh my goodness, what is going on here?
I mean, you know, talk on that. Some things should you just keep with you.
Oh my goodness, delete. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
Well.
I feel like when it comes to fashion, we already know fashion, it repeats itself every 2 years, right? It repeats itself. As you can see, I have a Nuuly sweater on, but it has a turtleneck. Remember turtleneck?
Yes.
But they kind of changed it just a little bit so it can be a little stylish and everything. And I was like, I don't know about that turtleneck. I said, but I like it. Let me go ahead and get it. That's all right. That's all right.
Somebody got to be a trendsetter.
But with that being said, I feel like as you season with age, you should set a certain standard for yourself because you're a role model.
Okay.
And I feel like that's really important. And it's different depending on what it is that you're trying to do business. Casual, maybe going out. You should represent yourself well because you may come across a group of kids that have not had that great example. And they see you just like Epic. Stand up, Epic. He always dressed for the 9. He always dressed for the 9. See Epic. See Epic. Okay. And he might run across some young men with pants sagging, heads backwards, white beaters, just didn't have that great role model, and they may see him like, hey man, look at that suit you got on. I like that. You sharp. And Epic may be that person to be a light in their life because how he dressed. And they may, who knows, they may take an interest of Epic and be like, well man, what you do? What you do every day?
Right. Got you.
And there's a connection right there because you stopped and you just had some spoken words, something, you know, some wisdom or something, or knowledge to give these young men. And I'm like, okay, man, well, I see you around. You never know. They'll come back.
Right. That's right.
And then that's how you build those relationships. Just sometimes that little talk or that moment or recognition or something actually helps.
Right. And that differentiation. So in other words, don't try to be like them. Stay your part. Stay stay your lane and all that.
Stay in your lane. Yeah, that's important.
That's good stuff.
That's
all right.
All right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back here at the HighVibe.
In 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
And you're alive.
Okay, welcome back to the conversation, and we're here to continue on after our break. And so we have with us today, we have Lady G and Cut Mays here.
Hey.
And so we're transitioning right now as we plan on leaving out to hot trendy topics, y'all, that are out there, and we want you to be able to listen in. If you want to tune in and call us, give us a call. Our number here again at HighVibe is 972-882-6146. Again, that's 972-882-6146. Pick up the phone and do give us a call. Okay, so Cut Mays, what do you have here? Hot and trendy. What's going on there that we need to be aware of?
Well, fam, Facebook friends, what is y'all thought about the Monique boycotting Netflix?
Tell us about it.
Because she feels like she didn't get paid as much as Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, and I think it's Amy Schumer.
Yeah, that's her.
And they got paid like $11 million, and they only gave her like 500,000 or 550,000, something of that nature.
Okay.
And she was very upset that she didn't want to take it. And she's like, I'm worth way more than what y'all offering me to do a comedy special on there.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, wow. And some people understood what she was saying. And then some people was like, well, you haven't did any shows. Yeah. We haven't heard from you. Yeah. We haven't heard anything from you since, I believe, was it Precious when she got the Oscar award or whichever award it was. Okay. No one heard from you. You always complaining. It was a lot of stuff people were saying. I was reading some of the comments, and some people were like, no, I'm not going to back you up. You should have took it and started from there and then negotiated at a later time. It was just a lot of stuff. That was really interesting. It was a lot.
So what's your take on it? What's y'all's take on that? Does Monique have is she saying, hey, I'm going to stand up. I did the same amount of work, or not the same amount of work, but you're paying these males, right? Let's talk about it from that perspective. X amount, and we always understand that there is a gap in between pay for similar performance between males and females, but that's not a gap. That's a meteor crate.
So what exactly are they saying with that? That's a big big difference.
Big difference. I remember watching the View. Which one is it? The View? Not The View. Is it The View with not Oprah? Whoopi Goldberg. Is it The View?
It's The View.
Hey, and I was listening to the ladies on a panel, and they mentioned that Hoda, is that her name? Hoda ended up taking Matt Lowry's position, and it was like a significantly low. It was the same as the other anchors.
Oh wow!
I think it was like they only gave her 11. I think Matt was making like 70 or 80 million. They only gave her 11. Or
let me play a little clip from it.
Please play a clip if you can.
Then y'all can hear.
All right. Let me actually look it up because I don't want to.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
So I
am asking that you stand with me and boycott Netflix for gender bias and color bias. I was offered a $500,000 deal last week to do a comedy special.
Oh, it's Monique. Okay.
However, Amy Schumer was offered $11 million.
But I'm going to bring it over there so y'all can hear it.
Okay.
Okay, just hold it to the mic.
Okay. Okay, here's a snippet of it.
Hey, my loves. I am asking that you stand with me and boycott Netflix for gender bias and color bias. I was offered a $500,000
Can y'all hear it?
last week to do a comedy special. However, Amy Schumer was offered $11 million. Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle $20 million.
$20 million. Okay.
Then Amy Schumer went back and renegotiated $2 more million because she said I shouldn't get what the men are getting. They're legends. However, I should get more, and Netflix agreed. When we asked Netflix to explain the difference, why the money was so different, they said, well, we believe that's what Monique will bring. We said, well, what about my resume? They said, we don't go off of resumes. Then we asked them, what was it about Amy Schumer? And they said, well, she sold out Madison Square Garden twice, and she had a big movie over the summer. Is that not Amy Schumer's resume? And then Netflix said, by the way, we believe Monique is a legend too. Why should I get what the legends are getting? Please stand with me in this boycott of Netflix. I love us for real.
Wow.
Okay. Those are firm facts there, y'all.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
Firm facts.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is it enough for me to give up Netflix?
Like, do I want to get into that fight
Yeah,
and
yeah.
lose that?
Oh my goodness!
But you do. You want people to be treated right and paid fairly, y'all. You know, I understand
Yeah,
that.
and
I do get it.
that definitely isn't fair.
And I hope that they come to some agreement there because you know that's beyond a gap.
Right.
That's outright
Man.
disrespectful. I mean, maybe it's even so insulting that she might need to just part and not even deal with them because that's more than lowballing. That's insult. That's an insult.
Yeah, it
Right.
is. It is.
So
It really is. I know she hadn't. Well, I haven't really watched for her, but I've noticed she hadn't really been doing any shows, whether it's comedy shows or
and
anything.
she's really been combative. I just remember Tyler Perry and
Tyler
Oprah.
Perry,
That she had an
Oprah.
issue with them too, and
Daniel,
she-
what is Lee
yeah,
Daniels?
Daniel,
Lee
oh, yeah.
Daniels too.
It
So
wasn't Tyler Perry. It was Dan.
no, it was
Daniel.
Tyler Perry too. It was
Yeah,
all three.
so she's putting herself out there, and just speaking her truth.
Yeah, I
you know?
absolutely understand. Hmm.
But it's tough. They say Hollywood is tough.
They say it's tough. They say it's very tough.
it is. That's a part of that sports and entertainment.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
understand sports and entertainment is very, very difficult. Speaking of sports and entertainment,
Okay, all right.
we
This
just
right here.
we just witnessed some football, great football being
Oh,
played.
man.
Now Super Bowl's coming up, y'all. So they have these
Okay.
Super Bowl parties. So we want ladies. There's nothing sexier
What?
than for you to be joining that man at the Super Bowl
All right,
party.
all right, all right.
You know, recreational companionship
Wow.
and all that. And so it's cool when you being able to pick that.
Wow.
Pick
Look at me.
that team and so with it. So here's the thing: if you're a novice and you don't know anything, you can research, research the players, research the game, and just to have that type of dialogue that's going on. Because now the worst thing, it could work against you if you get in there talking too much and not knowing what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So all you gotta do is do your little research, and when you do your research and prove guys wrong, we may hate it, but we got to put that feather in our cap. Like, oh man,
All right.
she was right. She knew what she was. So and not to say that that's just for, because we know some of our ladies, man, they run circles around the fellas
they
with
do.
their sports. But it's a good time. Super Bowl is going to bring in millions and millions of
Right,
dollars.
right.
And of course, we know a lot of advertising is going to be on. It's ridiculous how much money they make per second on the advertising. And sometimes people just watch the commercials. They come in, they record all the commercials
have
and
some
all of
good
that.
commercials.
Yeah. So
Real good.
it's the Super Bowl of commercials as well. But anyway, we have the New England Patriots and we have the Philadelphia Eagles. They're going to be playing on this Sunday at 5.
Oh, sorry.
Sunday, right? This Sunday?
At 5:30 p.m. on February the 4th.
Oh,
February
okay, so
4th
Yeah,
at
that's not this Sunday.
Not
right.
Not this
Okay.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, two Sundays.
On February 4th at 5:30 p.m. And so a lot of times in between there, the teams will be traveling up and they'll be, going through their dry run. But there's going to be a lot of discussion that goes on about, who you pick. But the thing is,
Yeah.
pick your people now and stick with them.
And
Don't change at halftime. And then who's
Yeah.
halftime performance? I think
Yeah,
it's
that's what I was wondering.
Who is that?
Justin
We don't know?
Bieber's. I think Justin.
Is he?
Oh, wait a minute. No,
Let
who's?
me- let me
Oh no,
know.
you get me throwing it out.
Let
there.
me-
Anybody know?
Let me-
Call in.
Super
'cause
Bowl
I
Call in.
halftime
I hope it ain't no Justin Bieber.
So let me see. Timberlake Timberlake. I'm sorry.
Timberlake, okay.
him.
Janet gonna be with him.
Justin Timberlake. Y'all know
Janet
they
gonna be
did
there.
last time,
Janet gonna
right?
be there.
With the uniform
Yeah,
malfunction.
yeah.
Lord.
Yep. So that's what it is. 2018 is going to be a great Super Bowl. Good team, good defenses, legendary quarterback in Brady that's going to be marching off versus a very fierce defensive front of the Philadelphia Eagles. So we're going to see who's going to win here. It's going to be a good time. I know they're going to have a lot of food and games wherever you go.
Yes.
You're going to see neighborhoods packed. You can't even hardly go down your neighborhood.
I know,
People are going to be packed out.
Crazy.
So
It's crazy.
and it's funny because that's here in Texas. You know, that's how sports has really impacted our society. So that's really, really good. So that's what's happening. We talked about a little entertainment, talked about a little sports.
So who are you going for?
I am going for the underdog. I'm going for those Eagles.
Yeah.
Philadelphia
they've
Eagles.
been, you know,
I'm like,
Patriots been to the Super Bowl.
I hate to be a hater.
I think what they've been 7 times.
Man, they got
won,
rings.
5 or something
Yeah.
like that.
You
Let
know.
somebody else win.
And Brady's the GOAT. You know, he's the GOAT. You know,
Yeah.
he's greatest of all times. But we're gonna have to really
That's
look
up
at
for
it.
debate. 'Cause
That's-
I'm down with Aaron Rodgers.
Oh yeah, you gotta have some rings. Rodgers gotta have He's good. I love Aaron Rodgers, but you gotta have some rings.
Yeah,
And, man, we
yeah.
gotta let someone knock Brady off that throne. 'Cause, man, I think these Eagles can soar high enough to do it.
Yeah, but
Put him on
they
his
did
back.
it at the last minute though. But they pulled it off.
And they've
They pulled
done
it
that
off.
time after
Yeah.
time after time again. But
I
it's
think
hard
they-
to throw that ball when you're on your back. So them
Wow.
Eagles can put him on. They got a
Yeah.
front four that can put Brady on his back. And so we're going to look and see what happens, y'all.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people around here are even wanting the Eagles to win.
Right.
You know?
Okay.
Why do you think that is? Is that just a change?
Well, I think just to change, and there's another underlying story is Dallas. You know, there's a little controversy in the New England Patriots between Belichick and Brady.
Okay.
You know, so that's a backline story that the media created and said, well, what is it? Is it Belichick's system or is it's Brady's ability? And so they're starting this little, but I hope they get enough ruckus kicked up so that if they were to depart ways because of money, then shoot, the Cowboys sure need a head coach real bad. We would love to have Belichick, man. So and we need a whole new. Well, I'm gonna go there. All right,
Okay, but we're gonna move on.
Right.
We're gonna move on because that's gonna be a game and a half.
be there.
So we're gonna move on to what about the government shutdown?
Ooh,
That's happening. I have a lot of friends that are in the military that that are sacrificing their lives and not going to be getting paid. So and I mean the government. I believe Congress, they're still getting paid, from what I understood. But they're still having to go to work, though. They're still having to go to work every day.
Wow.
Well, let me say one thing. Just an hour ago, the House just passed a bill to end the shutdown.
What?
Oh, awesome.
So the
That's
Senate
good.
passed a bill to reopen the government.
Oh, my
Okay.
goodness.
Good.
Okay.
And this just coming out hot on the press.
Yeah. We've been here since we've been here. Okay,
Yes,
that's
we've
good.
been
That's
here.
good. Oh, my goodness.
Good.
So we
Yeah.
could go on to local things. Have y'all heard about this flu?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this flu has been really
I don't
serious,
know how many
y'all.
people have passed here. The last count that I saw was 11, but I'm sure it's went up since then.
Yeah.
So people, please, if you're sick,
Stay home.
stay home. There's no
Stay
sense
home.
in getting out when you don't have to. And I mean, because there's a lot of people out there with body aches, and and that's a true sign that you need to be at home in the bed, just recovering or getting to the doctor.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
seeing right here, y'all, that they're not leaving it up to the students. Some of these school
Schools
districts
are shutting down.
are
Yeah.
shutting down.
Yeah.
Like, we need to spray this thing,
Wow.
We need to keep it quarantined up in here. And so it looks like Texas is the worst, y'all.
Yeah.
Texas is the worst.
Is it showing how many people have passed from?
It's in a total of 38.
See, I haven't
Dallas
even
County
been up.
deaths has been, this is October the 1st. This is the flu.
38.
38. 17 flu related deaths reported in entire 2016 to 17. It's really bad. It's just not here in Texas, but it's across the United States, period. And it's very bad. And from my understanding with the flu shot, that it's not effective like
That's what
it
I've
used to
heard.
be.
Right.
And I'm like, well,
And
what's
I've
the
never
point?
gotten the flu shot. Have you?
I got it one time. I got sick. I've never gotten it again,
Okay.
and I've been pretty good. Most of the time, I get sick, it's like a sinus or allergy
Never got
issue.
it before.
But no, I've
And-
never had flu ever since then.
And here's the top 10 with the flu activity that's been hospitalized areas. You got Corpus Christi in terms of
Wow.
Corpus Christi, Waco, Beaumont, Port Arthur, What is this? McAllen, Texas, and then Dallas is number 5.
Yeah.
Behind, and then Knoxville, Tennessee. What is it? No, that's a Tennessee. Knoxville. No, let's take that one out. They put a Tennessee in there, y'all.
Wow.
Houston, Texas, and then San Antonio, Texas. Yeah. So, but again, out of all the states, Texas is leading all of them.
Let me read this.
Okay.
Texas tracks adult flu deaths as a combined statistics with pneumonia deaths. So far this season, there have been 1,155 combined flu and pneumonia deaths and 1 flu-related pediatric death in the state.
Wow.
That's crazy. Yeah. Please take care of yourself.
What can they do, y'all? Talk to me. What can they do?
Stay home.
Get to the doctor. When you start seeing that you have symptoms, a lot of people, it's just a sinus infection. No, you've been having that thing for about 3 weeks now. No, it ain't.
Right.
Get to a doctor. Get yourself checked out.
Yeah. Stay at home. Make sure you wash your hands.
And in my office, when you just sneeze or cough, they looking like, what you got going on? Don't even come over here.
Right,
Where's the sanitizer? You need to go wash your hands.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, and one thing, when y'all are sneezing, the new way that you need to sneeze, a lot of people still sneeze in their hands.
Right,
Nasty.
Sneeze in your elbow.
There you go. I tell my students all the time, right here. Yes, don't sneeze right here.
Yeah.
Don't do your hands, do right here. Yeah, so that and making sure you're eating healthy stuff. One thing that I notice sometimes the people I'm around, when they're sick, they'll maybe have one healthy thing to eat, and then everything is like just horrible food that actually produce more mucus and just make them more sick. And when you're sick, you need to be eating like fruits, some vegetables, take your medicine,
and stay
not
hydrated.
just one day, but those many days, or at least for a week or however long you need to, so you can get that out.
That's true.
That's a very big
Get
thing.
your wipes, wipe down your phone, wipe down your areas, wipe.
Yeah, definitely.
Hot toddies.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, because my daughter, bless her heart, when she was here, I came home and I just was sneezing. I couldn't stop sneezing at work, and they were like, if you're gonna be carrying on tomorrow, just stay at home. My boss was adamant about that, and so I did. And my daughter, she had made me this concoction of ginger root, lemon, and she blended it in a blender.
Look at her taking care of mama.
Then she took some all natural honey and she stirred that together in a little bowl, and she told me to just eat on that. And the next day, all that drainage, it came down. Yeah, I was good, and I was able to go back to work the next day. All of that was gone. So, those natural remedies that are out there, they really do work.
Holistic
They really do work. So
ginger root, lemon,
blend it in a blender and then squeeze some natural honey into it and just stir it up. And it was like a consistency of like applesauce.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and I was good the next day.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's really good there.
Yeah.
You need to post that on your page, your little recipe.
Okay, I can do that.
Yep.
That sounds good. That sounds really good.
But it was another good night, you guys. Enjoyed it. So we want to thank everyone, all of our listeners out there. We want to thank you guys for tuning in with us tonight. And we hope you enjoyed the show. We're going to be on again next week.
That's right.
Next week, same time, same place.
Yes.
Well, this is The Conversation. We're here with HighVibe Media and Marketing Group. I am Brother Epic, and I'm here with Lady G and Cut Mays. This is The Conversation.
The Conversation.
And we're out.
All right.
Yeah.